Hi guys, it's very interesting what's happening right now. The manosphere is in a bit of an issue. The educated lames and the pookies are arguing and they're having a debate. And then the debate is what direction the manosphere should be going in. And one of the key things is, the funny part is this all started because of that discussion that Nicki Minaj and Kevin Samuels had. Now, it was the educated lames figured out immediately this was great for the black manosphere. If we can push our troubled message even further, then that's good. I like when it gets pushed further because it gets challenged, and when it gets challenged, at least we can get it better, because the message needs to be focused on men improving themselves and not on men trying to humble women. But at the same time, this is an alternative from rap, right? And we don't need any more of this rap, gangster culture, Pookie culture, right? So the big issue was that Kevin was very magnanimous and welcoming to Nicki Minaj. And, the Pookies thought that Kevin should have told her she was average at best and put her in her place. And when it was done, they're saying Kevin was too soft, he wasn't a great representative of the manosphere, and, someone more, vociferous, or someone more, alpha should have spoken to Nicki Minaj. And this caused the educated lames to go into DEFCON 2, because what they started to say to the Pookies is go away. And let me explain what a Pookie is, because I think it's important that we understand what a Pookie is. A Pookie is not just a man that is, poor. That's not what a Pookie is. A Pookie is a guy who is not producing. He is not contributing to society. He's broke. He leads a life of crime, or he's having children all over the place. He's at his baby mother's house, and or his mother's house, and he's way past 30, and he's a nuisance. That's what a Pookie is. And educated lames do not like Pookies, because Pookies were the guys at school that used to create trouble. And a lot of guys think it's girls. It has nothing to do with girls. Educated lames actually are no longer live in the hood, and they're dating way out of the hood, and they're not dating women that Pookies date, at least dedicated lames that I know. And so it has nothing to do with women. Pookies are basically creating issues in whichever neighborhood they live. Now, the black manosphere is for both the educated lame and the reformed Pookies. We must always remember that. Reformed Pookies are people that have figured out after years of being a Pookie that, listen, you need to improve yourself. Some of them have gotten trades. Some of them have figured out a way how to start a business. They're probably truckers. They're probably delivery drivers. They're positive contributors to society. Those are reformed Pookies. The black manosphere is for them, and the black manosphere needs to create more of them, because the more people that are taking care of their children, taking care of their responsibility, then the better the black community will be, and the better the entire community will be. And that's the purpose of the black manosphere. The purpose of the black manosphere is not to humble women. That's when the Pookies are diverting the black manosphere to do something that it should not be doing. That's not the place of it. And so this is a very good debate, and it was important that this debate happened. Let's look at where Pookies live. A lot of Pookies still live in the hood. Many people still come from the hood. But the problem is that when the Pookie gains power in the hood, what is the result of that? They have these women living in food deserts where there's nothing but crime. There's nothing but deteriorating, decrepit buildings. Pookies cannot be proud of where they live. Now, educated lames, they don't have a domain. They live in the suburbs, and they live among other races. Educated lames will live in very multicultural areas. Pookies, they tend to live in those MLK boulevards, right? And wherever they go, they create problem. They create havoc. And that's what I think some of them are trying to create in the manosphere. Because they're more focused on the women than they are focused on improving themselves. And that's where I think that's where the big problem will always happen. When Kevin Samuels talks about people working 60 hours a week to improve themselves and that you can't be serious unless you're working hard, having a purpose, no one listens to that. People want to hear that the women are average at best. They want to hear that they're a 5 or a 3 or whatever it is. That's what they want to hear. Now, after hearing all of that, how does that profit a man? Like, I'm really trying to understand, how does that profit a man? And that's why the important thing is to help a lot of these pookies to get out of the mess that they are in. Years ago, there was this Freakonomics book. Great book to read, Freakonomics. I would recommend any young man to get the first edition of the first copy of Freakonomics. It was a lovely story about Cabrini Green. Now, what had happened was an Indian student who was in Chicago was doing some project and he wanted to understand more about the economics of the ghetto. So he actually went to this ghetto, Cabrini Green, and he was actually kidnapped by a gang there. They didn't harm him. They were wondering first thing, what the hell was he doing in that project? And they actually shared the books with him, and he figured out something very important. That the street drug dealer in that gang was earning less than someone who worked in a fast food establishment. And what he surmised was that these young men would risk being killed, being shot, going to jail for less money than it was to work at McDonald's. And it was very important finding. And what he saw there was rampant crime, rampant abuse, all of that stuff. So Cabrini Green was like hell on earth. Years later, it had nothing to do with the Freakonomics book. They tore down Cabrini Green because it was just drug infested. It was just a disgusting place to live, and the people who lived there hated it. And that's the land of Pookie. No one wants to live there. No one wants to live in these decrepit, disgusting neighborhoods. And that's what Pookies create, because they are more interested in keeping it real, having swag, having game. That's not important in life. Swag, keeping it real, and game, how do you convert that into cash? How do you monetize that? So anyhow, let's look at the educated lame. Now, the educated lame, most times, he went to school, while everyone was making noise in class, he was trying to focus on what's going on. He figured out at some point in time that he wasn't going to make it playing football. He wasn't going to make it, swinging a bat. He was going to make it using his brain. And I count among them people who became technicians, like people who went to trade schools, people who became plumbers and all of that stuff. I count them up as part of educated people, because those guys, they got their certification, and many of those guys who are now electricians, plumbers, welders, all of that, a lot of them are widely read. Even Obsidian, you listen to him, man, that guy is brilliant. You can hear it. Not everyone went to college or university to be an educated lame. And so these guys are guys that are contributing to society. That's the important thing. And they don't have to be lawyers, doctors, or architects. They just can be common folks who are basically, working as a manager of it doesn't matter, fast food. They could be working in different things. The important thing is that they don't have children all over the place that they're not taking care of. They pay their taxes, they cut their lawns, and they don't break laws. They abide by the rules. Those are the guys that the Black Manosphere needs to be at the forefront. They need to drive it, not the Pookies. The Pookies need to understand that they need to become reform Pookies. That's how they redeem themselves. They cannot bring in this nonsense, the schoolyard nonsense of swag and game and all of that stuff. And any man who tells me that he can get more girls as a Pookie, all of that stuff, Look at Cabrini Green. Look at all these communities. Are you proud of that? Are you proud of all of these disgusting places that no one would want to live at? That's the important thing. So, as the Black Manosphere refocus itself, which I think it will do, on people, men leveling up and all that, it's not as entertaining. So, that's why Fresh and Fit needs to do the one-on-ones with folks that are dealing with level up and theoretical stuff. And then guess what? After hours, they bring in the girls and they talk about the stuff that, the guys want to hear about with girls. But you have to bring the both messages, because the most important message for any man is to be a man. And that's what we need in the black community. Men to be men. And men to be men, it's not you protecting the community. You don't need to do that. You need to pay your taxes so you can have a police force. It's not for you to educate the people. You don't need that. Pay your taxes, get a job, pay your taxes, and have better schools. It's not you to prevent crime. No. It's for you to stop committing crimes. So, all this is to say is that in this discussion and debate between the educated lames and the Pookies, what will be most important is that those who are educated, those who are doing reform Pookies and doing the right thing, continue to do what you're doing. Increase your focus on increasing your income and your wealth. Save more, exercise, gym, eat right, drink more water. That's the important message for us guys. For those who need to become reform Pookies, these guys will become the example of how you can do that and improve yourself. That's the purpose of the Black Manosphere. That's the purpose of the rest of the Manosphere. All this other periphery stuff, it's because some people want to pull the Manosphere into different directions. And it has to be entertaining. If anyone comes on here and lectures people, it's going to be the most boring thing. So you need to have a mixture. But one thing we must never be is a bunch of people fighting against each other, because that doesn't help anyone. Thanks, guys.